You're backed by arguably one of the greatest of all time, right?
What are we rating ourselves on? What are we rating on?
Okay.
Well, we want to know. In the least amount of fights, I didn't have to have 70 fights or 150 fights, 300 fights. Did I not beat the most world champions?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And in the least amount of fights?
Yes, you did.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
So it's basically saying that
the greatest of all.
When Terence "Bud" Crawford said he could stop Floyd quicker than he stopped Errol Spence, the boxing community immediately lit up with reactions. And the person who seemed to take that comment the most seriously was Floyd Mayweather himself.
You were prime Floyd.
Me?
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd? That's one of my favorite.
Only hours later, Floyd Mayweather answered back on social media. The post looked calm and polished, the way Floyd usually presents himself online. But according to people close to him, the comment from Crawford clearly bothered him. For years, fighters have mentioned Floyd's name when talking about greatness. But this time felt different. Crawford wasn't just comparing himself to Mayweather. He was confidently saying he could beat him and even stop him. That kind of statement goes beyond simple trash talk. For Floyd, it touches something deeper. His legacy, his reputation, and the idea that the sport he once dominated might now be shifting toward a new era. The moment that started the entire debate actually came from Popular Boxing Podcast just 2 nights earlier. Terence "Bud" Crawford had recently celebrated a huge win over Canelo Alvarez when the host asked a question fighters often try to avoid. If you and Floyd Mayweather fought in your prime, what would happen? Crawford leaned back in his chair, smiled, and delivered an answer that instantly sent shockwaves through the boxing community. He said he believed he would stop Floyd, and that it would be even easier than the way he stopped Errol Spence. Crawford also added that while he respects Mayweather's greatness, he believes he himself is greater. That one statement spread across the internet within minutes. Social media lit up with debate, and hashtags like Crawford versus Floyd and discussions about the true GOAT of boxing quickly began trending around the world.
Yeah, so if he was pound for pound, Floyd was pound for pound. You or Floyd, who would have done that? Who would have won that?
Me.
Oh shit, okay, I'm just asking. Floyd was pound for pound before.
That would have been a hard fucking fight though.
Man, me versus anybody, I'm gonna always say me.
Okay.
What caught many people off guard wasn't just Crawford's confidence. It was how convincing his claims sounded. When you look back at his performances, especially the way he dismantled Errol Spence and later handled Canelo Alvarez with such control, it's easy to see why he believes in his chances. Crawford's words didn't come across as pure arrogance. They sounded like the conclusion of someone who had carefully studied the situation. And Floyd Mayweather understood that better than anyone.
When I cook this dude, easy. Y'all always disrespecting our fighters.
Live, only on DAZN, June 28th. Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. Buy now at
But here's the reality. Since stepping away from professional boxing, Floyd Mayweather has made a strong effort to keep himself at the center of attention. Through exhibition fights, interviews, and media appearances, he has managed to remain a major presence in the sport. However, by 2025, that level of control over the spotlight appears to be slipping. While Floyd continues to participate in exhibition bouts that often feel more like nostalgic events for fans, Terence Crawford is busy building an active legacy inside the ring and adding real achievements to his record. The contrast is becoming impossible to ignore. One legend protecting his legacy, while another fighter is actively shaping the future of the sport.
Crawford or Mayweather?
I think Crawford is better, bigger. He's actually he moved in weight class, and I would say Crawford is a better fight all around fighter. Mayweather's really good too, though. You can't knock him as well. He's very talented. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because he's bigger. You know what I'm saying? And he would have kept him at bay. It would have been hard for Mayweather to counter, maybe. But Mayweather's definitely take that shit. I mean, like Crawford said, you know, Mayweather has his era, and
he isn't chasing fast paydays or easy fights. His focus is on building a legacy that lasts, and that's exactly what seems to trouble Floyd the most. Critics have argued that Floyd Mayweather's career was built on perfect timing. They believed he carefully selected opponents and chose fights that delivered the biggest paydays while minimizing risk in many respects. That argument isn't entirely unfair. Floyd was not only a brilliant boxer, but also an exceptional businessman within the sport. Still, that strategy always left a small question lingering among fans and analysts. Terence Crawford appears to be taking a very different path. He consistently faces dangerous opponents when they are at their peak, moves up through weight classes, and accepts challenges that some believe Floyd chose to avoid. Now, when Crawford brings up Floyd's name, it doesn't feel like a move for attention. Instead, it sounds like a statement meant to prove that his place among boxing's all-time greats is legitimate.
Mayweather go up from 147 to 168. That's crazy, bro. And not even, and honestly, I thought Crawford was gonna have more of a hard time because he had a hard time with Madronov. So imagine going up to it. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, but I don't want to take nothing away from Mayweather. Mayweather is the greatest of all time. But I think that was a really big risk that Crawford took, and then he ended up winning. You know what I mean? So you have to give credit to that too. I mean, that's a big risk. That's like that'd be like me going up and fighting Usyk right now. Heavyweight.
I know that's been kind of hinted.
I'm not thinking of that right now. I'm not thinking of that right now. No, but that's kind of like how that'd be. You know what I mean? So you have to, bro. That's a lot of, he has a lot of balls to do that. And not only to go.
The situation becomes even more interesting behind the scenes. According to people connected with Mayweather Promotions, Floyd didn't just see Crawford's comment as bold. He saw it as disrespectful. And the reason wasn't only what was said, but who said in the past. Floyd played a major role in shaping the career of Gervonta Davis. He helped discover him, mentored him, and build a system around loyalty and guidance. Crawford, however, took a completely different route. He was never part of Floyd's promotional structure, never signed under his banner, and never relied on that network to build his career. Instead, Crawford carved his own path to the top. He built his reputation independently and reached superstar status without that backing, something very few fighters in boxing have managed to accomplish.
Now, the undisputed world champion, 3 times over, 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab. He used his distance. He had poise in the ring. He wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight.
And that independence may be exactly what makes Floyd uncomfortable. One boxing promoter explained that Floyd can see similarities between himself and Crawford, but without the same level of influence or control around him. Crawford is reaching the kind of success Floyd once enjoyed, yet he's doing it in a very different way. He's building his legacy without relying on the politics and power structures that often shape the sport. That difference is where much of the tension seems to come from. Floyd has always been protective of his position in boxing history. For years, he has made it clear that he believes no fighter, past, present, or future, will ever surpass what he accomplished. In his mind, he set the standard that no one else can truly match. But Crawford isn't trying to imitate Floyd's career. Instead, he's carving out his own route, building a legacy in his own style, and in the process, changing how the game is played.
You know, he's too young or whatever. So I'm never really going to give my full respect until afterwards. Yes, you know, it's a lot of people that's changing their narrative. Like, man, y'all watching something great right now, and we not appreciating it. And it's sad to say that we waking up at the tail end of his career. You know, we really didn't realize it until now, when he's like doing extraordinary stuff, like going up 2 weight classes to fight the best fighter in that division, the number one guy that's the face of boxing, you know, and the way that I handled that, people like, oh, man, something had to be wrong. Canelo had to be washed, or Canelo just wasn't in it. I see people saying, oh, Turkey paid for Canelo to lose, you know, so I just think, you know, when you that much better than the competition, you know, people not going to give you credit until they sit down and look at it.
Here's why this debate gets so heated. Floyd Mayweather was nearly untouchable during his prime. He rarely dropped rounds and never suffered a loss, with a defense so sharp that even the hardest hitters often looked inexperienced. Crawford, on the other hand, operates differently. He thrives in chaos, then seizes control. He isn't just looking to outscore his opponents. He aims to break them down completely, dominating every aspect of the fight.
I'm the best.
But Crawford isn't copying Floyd. He's creating his own path and rewriting the rules of the game.
Where does he rank now, all time, ending this interview?
Number one, and the only one that he got at top is Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Terence Crawford is this generation guy. You know what I'm saying? Accomplishing all the goals that he accomplished.
Matched up? How do they match up, Floyd and Terence?
Hey, I'm like this, man. It's going to be great because Floyd, he's about his work. He put in work. We've been watching it for decades. You know what I'm saying? Him coming out of retirement to do this fight, that's a win for the whole world boxing. Every generation, from Floyd generation to this generation, they get to see it come. That's just like we never get to see Michael Jordan play, right? But we remember when he used to play.
When Crawford went up against Errol Spence, fans were expecting a chaotic, all-out war. What they got instead was a masterclass in precision and control. Crawford methodically dismantled Spence, scored 3 knockdowns, and finished the fight with pinpoint accuracy, leaving no doubt about his dominance.
Since that we live in right now, if you can compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence "Bud" Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
That kind of commanding performance is something Floyd rarely displayed consistently against elite competition. Sure, he outboxed Canelo, but that was against a younger fighter who hadn't yet reached his peak. Crawford, by contrast, defeated Canelo while moving up 2 weight classes, a feat that makes his achievement even more impressive. It's no surprise that many of today's boxing analysts are openly suggesting Crawford could surpass Floyd Mayweather at his best. Even legends are taking notice. Roy Jones Jr., for example, pointed out that while Floyd may have been the more polished boxer, Crawford shows a level of complete dominance in the ring that we've rarely, if ever, witnessed before.
Crawford he did a good job. Is Crawford time for pound number one? Time for pound number one? I think so. Pretty much, I don't think...
Did you feel like they need a rematch, Manny, after what you saw tonight?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a rematch.
That's what we gotta go.
It's kind of a one-sided fight.
Manny, does this fight make Terence Crawford an all-time great in your eyes?
Well, he's still in his career, so... he's prime in his career, so...
As Max Kellerman put it, the difference is clear. Floyd's focus was always on control, while Crawford's aim is pure glory. That distinction is what sets them apart and makes this rivalry of ideas so compelling.
Great fighters, right? 90% of the great fighters are black. The ones from the past. Now, with the Eastern Bloc coming on like they are, there's going to be some great ones coming on now. Even with Lil Tony, as you see it, these guys are going to be great. They're going to start eclipsing and coming up there too. But right now, if you had to name 5 of the best fighters of all time, 4 of them going to be black. You understand me? Who did he beat that was black in his prime, that was in their prime, that was on his level?
Meanwhile, Floyd has mostly stayed on the defensive, emphasizing his 50-0 record, the massive pay-per-view numbers, and his business empire. Crawford, however, isn't focused on stats or headlines. He's focused on building a legacy that will last. That contrast makes it feel like a passing of the torch, even if Floyd would never admit it. Mayweather's era was defined by flawless execution and careful strategy. Crawford's era is defined by ambition and progress, by pushing the sport forward. Floyd avoided losses by avoiding unnecessary risks, while Crawford is willing to take chances. He might lose a fight someday, but only because he's willing to risk everything to reach greatness.
If you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior welterweights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time.
Oh, yes.
That makes a difference to people.
Crawford did amazing, he a legend, man, 3-time undisputed, you gotta take his hat up to him, he went up 2 weight classes and dominated a legend, so my hat goes up to him and he's all respect.
Do you think Canelo is the same guy that he was before? You think he's falling off?
Canelo's Canelo, you know what I mean? Canelo's a legend, bro. You gotta, at the end of the day, whatever happened that fight, that don't diminish his career, his image. You feel me? I think right now, he's at that time where he took an L, but he ain't take an L, you know what I'm saying? He got paid and he a legend at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? So if he want to walk over the sunset right now, his name, his last name is in the cement. You know what I'm saying? As one of the greatest Mexican fighters in the world.
I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but Crawford does have all the titles. You're a really big name. He's kind of in your way right now a little bit. Is that a fight where you're just like, yeah, me and him get it on for sure?
Not for sure. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? We don't duck no smoke. But, right now, I'm focused on my comeback fight. You know what I'm saying? I gotta put my head down. Whatever happened in my last fight is cool, but that ain't dim my light at all, you know what I'm saying? I'm still a superstar, I'm still a star, I'm still the king of New York, man, I'm fly.
That's the difference between being an icon and becoming a true legend. Floyd understands this, which is why he keeps returning to interviews talking about the younger generation chasing headlines. He points to his billions and business achievements, reminding everyone of his dominance. But when the conversation turns to legacy and lasting greatness, it's clear he doesn't like where it's headed. Time moves forward and the future waits for no one. So what's next? Rumor has it Floyd may give an interview to set the record straight, likely emphasizing his undefeated record and record-breaking earnings. But none of that will slow Crawford down. Fans are already shifting the narrative. Terence Crawford isn't chasing Mayweather anymore. He's stepping into his own era. The face of modern boxing is transitioning from Floyd's confident smirk under the bright lights to Crawford's focused determination beneath championship belts. Ironically, Floyd helped pave this path by setting the standard so high that Crawford now has a blueprint to surpass it. Respect is still due. Floyd changed the sport, built an empire, defeated every top fighter of his time, and earned more than anyone before him. But Crawford is redefining what greatness looks like. He's not just undefeated. He's undisputed across 3 weight classes. He's not in it for fame or money. He's in it for legacy. So when Floyd says there are levels, he may be right. But perhaps the levels have shifted. What was once considered the peak of greatness might now be simply Crawford's starting point.